welcome to the Self Project podcast. I'm your host, Christy Martin. I'm a transformation and human design guide who is passionate about guiding women to be the most authentic versions of themselves. This podcast is all about self-discovery, self-empowerment, wellness, healing, parenting, mental health, spirituality, you name it, we're going to talk about it. This podcast and this space is all about helping you along on your own self-project journey. So welcome. Let's sit back and we'll dive right in today. Okay. Quick detour. Before we actually dive into the show today, I wanted to ask you a very important question. Do you feel like your current environment supports you? What do I mean by that? Think about the environment that you spend the most time in. Is it at home, at work, in the car? And is it set up in a way that's unique to you? And in a way that's going to boost your mood, and in a way that's going to make you feel really good and just really aligned? Did you even know that you have an ideal environment that is unique to you? We can find this information by looking at your human design chart. And then you get to come on over to my upcoming workshop to learn more about how you can organize your current environment just to help you thrive. You can get the link down in the show notes to come over and register and learn more about how not only for yourself can you create this environment, but also for your children, for your partner, how you can create multiple environments for everybody to thrive within the same space. So I hope to see you over there. And now we're going to dive into our show today. Welcome back to the show, and I am really excited. We have got a treat on today. I have got both Meriam Boldewijn and Ashley Jackson-Thompson on the show today, and their stories are both incredible. So Meriam is helping caregivers who are having challenges in the areas of owning their well-being and time management, and who are ready to have more me time and feel more at ease while they support their loved ones. And then Ashley runs timeless dream events, and she provides terminally ill people and their family members with events that will celebrate life and love. So I am not going to speak too much longer because I'm really excited to dive into both of their stories, hear how they met, and just hear about this incredible work that they're doing. So I just want to take a moment to thank both of you for being here today. And I think first, I would love to turn it over to you, Meriam, to see if you just minded introducing yourself and just, sharing your story.
Thank you so much. First of all, we are so happy to be on your show. I've been a caregiver for more than 20 years to both my husband and my brother, not at the same time. But it was a tough ride. I learned so many lessons while taking care of these two gentlemen. And my husband, he was a diabetic. He suffered from kidney failure. In 2003, he had two major surgeries, kidney pancreas transplant surgeries. But besides those surgeries, he also had many eye surgeries, groin rupture, broke his ankle. We lost count. So I rolled from one surgery to the other together with him. And I always say we, because we did this together. But fast forward to today, both of these gentlemen are doing well. Thank God for that. And I can't wait to share what I experienced. And once again, thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh my gosh, of course. And I can't wait to dive more into hearing more about that. So, and Ashley, do you mind just sharing a little bit more about yourself with us as well?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for the platform. So excited to be able to share my story and caregiving journey alongside my sister Meriam. And is quite funny how we came together, but I'll share that in a moment. My name is Ashley Jackson, and I reside in Ohio with my lovely husband. And what makes it so special is the fact that I didn't know if I was going to be able to get married to him. I've been caring for him for almost 4 years now. And back in January of 2017, he had proposed to me, and shortly thereafter, 2.5 months later, he was diagnosed with a rare cancer in stage 4. So we got we got engaged, and then he was given this diagnosis 2.5 months later, so in March of 2017. And it was really devastating. You know, I'm not going to lie. I was 30 years old. I wasn't foreseeing having to plan treatments and surgeries. I was thinking on planning my engagement party and having, that time with my family and friends. But this is the cards that we were dealt. So, we hopped into the treatment that the doctors planned out for us. And like Meriam said, I use the pronoun we, because it really is a village. It takes a lot of support and understanding and love. And, we see caregivers for who they are and what they do. And we just want to provide that support for them. What makes Timeless Dream events so different and unique is that niche of terminally and chronically ill and their loved ones. I understand. I know what it is, how it is to plan a great event for and with someone that you're not sure if they're going to even make it there. Luckily, and we were blessed that Troy was able, my husband, to make it to our wedding date, and we did get married. But I know not everyone has that luxury. So thank you again for having us, and I can't wait to dive deeper.
I can't wait either. So thank you for sharing with us. I think that it's important to, point out that this affects probably many more people than we even realize. We marry, we partner up, we create our own little, tribes and families and things like that. And we care for these people and we're here for these people. And we're all, we have a vision of how we want our life to go and what life's going to look like. And that, I call it like the white picket fence and the, the 2 kids and the dogs in the house and whatever. We have this vision, and life has another plan for us sometimes. Life just comes along and just kind of broadsides us. And, and that's part of it, because that's part of our journey, and that's part of what we're supposed to walk through. But what I love is that you guys took these situations where you got broadsided by life with these really hard, devastating events. I mean, we're dealing with life and death. That's, we're really at, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but we're really dealing with a very serious kind of topic there, one that can make people uncomfortable, one that scares people. That's a very fearful topic for people, and one that, people don't just, there's a lot of, insecurity around it, obviously. But I just love that you guys are now taking your experiences and now you're sharing with other people, because this is so important. And I know that you both have probably went through so much, and we're gonna, like I said, dive more into that. But I really hope that we can touch somebody with this, because it affects more people than we know. Well, I would love to touch on really quick before we start diving in. How did you guys come together and meet now?
Yeah, definitely. But what you just said, Christy, made me think of a conversation that I just had with my mother yesterday. And it's something that my pastor had mentioned to us about a week ago as well. Our society teaches people to live well, but it doesn't teach us to die well. And what I take from that is, let's enjoy our lives that we have now, because we don't We don't know when our last breath is. You honestly don't. And even though my husband had this diagnosis, I could still pass before him. You just don't know where life will take you. So let's live well, but also know that it's okay to die well and leave your legacy, leave your stamp in this world. That's what I take from that quote. But how Meriam and I met, like how I met my husband, Facebook. So I just meet all kinds of friends on Facebook and family. Miriam's my sister. We instantly clicked. She found me via my Facebook caregiver group that I admin. And once we just started like posting and going back and forth, and I'm like, she loves to read, she likes to journal, she likes to travel, she like is everything that I ever had wanted in an older sister. And she flies that flag well. She will tell you in a heartbeat she is 50 and fabulous, honey. So we just instantly clicked. And regardless of me being in Ohio, USA, and her being near Amsterdam, Netherlands, you can't tell me that we weren't separated at birth, because I'm totally convinced we were. So that's how we met. And once we dived deeper into her caregiver advocacy, same with mine, we just said, let's start down this mission, down this road of sharing our stories, because we've both cared for spouses, and then her with her sibling. Why not go down this road and advocating for our fellow caregivers, telling them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Sure, the journey may suck. We don't sugarcoat that part of it, but there is that Eden. Like, we will get to the end of the rainbow at some point, but we can help you navigate away from burnout, because we've both burnt out a couple times and it's not ever fun. So that's the gist of how we met and how we've grown close. And it hasn't even been a year yet since we've met each other.
It's only a couple of months now, but it feels like lifetime, like we've known each other like forever. And I'm so happy you touched on that, Ashley. We are very honest, and because we are very honest, sometimes people may feel kind of uncomfortable, but you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable. Sorry. And when we tell our stories, we are honest, because that's the truth. It's our story. That's the truth. And we often say, don't be like us. Be like us when you move from the darkness to the light, but don't be like us when you feel like you're wearing your superhero cape. And with this, we mean we thought that we could do anything, everything. We could be the cook, the driver, the cleaner, the caregiver, everything. And asking for help was a big issue for both of us, because we thought, maybe they will think I'm weak. Maybe they will think I can't handle the situation. Maybe they will think I can take care of my husband. It was so wrong. We thought wrong. And I was surprised to see how willing people were. They offered help. So that's something I teach. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. That's something I teach my caregiving clients. Asking for help, it's okay. It's a must. Self-care is okay. It's not selfish. It's a must. Scheduling, it's a must. There are so many things you can do to make time for yourself. I don't say take time, make time for yourself. Own your well-being. Because I remember the conversation I had, Christy, with a social worker after my husband Martin had his first kidney transplant, kidney pancreas transplant surgery. Sorry, he was finally doing well. And to give you an idea what my day looked like, I woke up at 5:30, started at the office at 7:30. Worked until 3, 4 p.m., went home, and then went to the hospital, which was 50 minutes one way, stayed with him until 9, 10 p.m. in the hospital, came back home, checked mail, did some household. So before I went to bed, it was 12, maybe 12:30 in the morning. And then the next morning, after a couple of hours, started. And this went on for weeks, maybe months, because he stayed in the hospital for quite some time. And when we've had a conversation with a social worker and she asked him how he was doing, of course, he said, well, I am so happy. I'm feeling a bit better. I'm doing better. I'm busy with my recovery. And then she turned to me and said, Meriam, how are you doing? I cried for 15 minutes. I sobbed because of the heaviness that was on my shoulders. And I was so mad at myself and the lady because of the question she asked me. I didn't want Martin to see me like this. I was the superhero, and superheroes don't cry, right? So when I got home after this all happened, I looked in the mirror and I said, Meriam, lady, sis, listen, what are you going to do for you? And I couldn't answer. I said, what are you going to do for you? What will happen to Martin if something bad happens to you? Do you want to go on like this? And I started crying again. And that's when I decided, I'm still getting goosebumps again. And that's when I decided, I have to do something. I have to do something to get out of this mess. I am my own rescue. And that's when I started thinking about techniques, tools. What can I do? Okay, if I ask this person to drive me to the hospital, then I can just sit and relax. Or if I ask that person to cook for me, then I can do something I enjoy, maybe read a book or, so that's how I started using some techniques, tools, trying new things. It wasn't easy. It didn't go overnight. Because when Martin was finally home and I thought, okay, I'm gonna take a nice long hot shower, I couldn't enjoy it because I was constantly thinking, oh, what is he doing right now? Is he okay? I was too worried. I was too busy taking care of him. So all of those, I'm sorry, Siri, all of these things, all of these tools and techniques, I try to teach my clients. I teach my clients. My journey is not Ashley's journey. It's not your journey. It's not another caregiver's journey, but the struggles are the same. So that's only a part, just a tiny part of my story. Because when Martin was finally doing well, in 2012, I was at the office. I got a phone call. Martin called me, you have to call your brother right now. I said, what's wrong? No time to explain, Meriam, please call your brother. And I called my brother and he was talking strange. He had a stroke while I had him on the phone. So I called the paramedics. went to his apartment, and when I arrived there, Christy, the only thing I could think of was, okay, when is the funeral? He was 46 years, partially paralyzed, didn't know the names of his children. The only thing he knew was that I was his sister, and he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk. He doesn't remember the first 2 weeks when he was in the hospital. And there was a certain time after weeks of recovery in the hospital that I had to shower my brother. Imagine a grown man you're related to. You've never seen him in his full glory, and you have to shower him. When I asked him, because they could only shower him once a week, they could fresh him up every day. And the nurses, they did as much as they could in the short amount of time they had. So when I asked him, bro, can I shower you? Because the nurses can only shower you once a week. He shied away and he mumbled something because he couldn't talk. And I was embarrassed as well, but at the same time, I thought, no, no way. I'm not going to let embarrassment win from me. His hygiene is top priority. So I explained, I told him, listen, I know that if I shower you every day, you will recover sooner. So he said, okay, let's do it. But it wasn't easy. It's totally different taking care of your husband and taking care of a sibling. Especially when it comes to showering, seeing private parts. But it was necessary. And 3 months later, he started walking and talking again. We didn't give up. Hope and not giving up. And a lot of love.
Lot of acts of just pure love. That's incredible, Meriam. But I feel like you brought up so many important points in there. I really love that you brought up that the dynamics were different. You know, like you said, caring for a husband or a partner or spouse is totally different than having to care for a sibling. Like I couldn't even imagine, but I can see where there would be, you know, those distinct differences that you would have to work through for both of you, you know, like you said, being uncomfortable for both of you. But I love that you said that, like, this is what you knew you had to do it for his healing, you know, like you knew, but we have to do this. So, you know, what I really want to touch back on too is, and I'm assuming Ashley a lot, this, you know, I think that you mentioned this, Meriam, that it was hard for both of you to ask for help. And I think that we see that in all aspects of our life. I think about, you know, my situation's different. I have my children, but I just think about that. And it's so hard to ask for help with that too, because like you said, it feels like we want to have, you know, we want to feel like we're able to do it all and be able to not burden other people. I think that's part of it too. We don't want to be a burden to other people. We don't want to, like you said, seem like we can't handle it, or just all these things coming in. So I really love that you bring the importance of we have to ask for help. How did you start? You know, you shared the little ways that you started with that, but how did you overcome kind of that fear of asking for help? Like what?
What I did, you know, the mirror is, I love the mirror. I love the person that I see in the mirror. I can't lie anymore to that person I see in the mirror. And I was in doubt. Like I told you before, it didn't happen overnight. So what I did is, first of all, I wrote my favorite affirmation on a piece of paper. I am worthy of a wonderful life too. And I looked at it Whenever I thought, no, I can do this, I can do this. And then I looked at the paper, I still do. And I said, read it out loud, because if I read it out loud, I hear it. I am worthy of a wonderful life too. And, this gave me so much power to pick up the phone and call someone. Like, hey, I need your help. Can you please help me with this and this? And it's okay if you don't have time, but I'm just asking for help. And 9 of the 10 times it was, oh, yes, of course. What do you need? Even my neighbors, medical professionals, family, friends, even in the supermarket. Hey, could you please help me? I can get this and this. Could you please help me with this? It's okay. Now I'm used to it. But that's how I started my affirmation, looking in the mirror, asking myself questions. What will happen to your loved one if something happens to you? Do you love yourself? Was one of my questions as well. Do you love yourself? Oh, yes. Okay. Name me 2 things you do to show that in 15 seconds. Oops.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you for that. I know I was thinking that too. I'm like, what would I say right now? But that's really good. A question kind of popped up for me. Do either of you ever deal with resentment, the feeling of resentment towards your partner? I would love to hear a little more on that.
I wouldn't say resentment. I think Ashley and I are both on the same page. Of course, we were mad, angry sometimes, but not at him, but at the disease.
Mm.
But that took a while for me to understand. And that's a part of that is what led to me bottling up a lot of anxiety. Because of all the things that come with being a caregiver, plus being the sole breadwinner. And then on top of that, the cream on the icing on top of that was that I'm planning a wedding for someone that might not even, I have no guarantees. And not to be pessimistic, but that was our reality. I didn't want to postpone the wedding because he asked me not to. And, I was mad a lot, so, but it took me a while to understand that it wasn't necessarily, I didn't resent him. I came to the realization that it was his body. I was mad at his body. I was mad at the cancer. I just a couple weeks ago, I wrote a really nasty letter to cancer in the parking lot at a grocery store. Something just came over me, and I sat there for about 30 minutes and just wrote a really nasty letter to cancer and just asked it, why? Why did you choose him? Why did you have to come into our lives? We were doing just fine. So I like that question. I like when people ask me that, because maybe we can shift someone's mindset and help them, because when you feel like you're resenting someone, then you want to keep that bottled in because you're like, oh, well, I don't want to share that. People might think I'm being mean. But I think 9 times out of 10, it's not really resenting the person, it's the disease.
Yeah, and I would like to add something. It's true what Ashley is saying. Being mad at the disease, and what also helped me is to understand that he didn't ask to be in the situation, and that really helped me. Martin had many times that his blood sugar was too low, and then he simply didn't know what he was doing. And it sometimes happened at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning in his sleep. And then I remember one night I came and I tried to give him some sugar. It was in a small sugar bag. And the sugar was all over the bed because before I even knew it, he, anyways, the sugar was all over the bed and I had to work. I had to start at work early that morning, 7 a.m., I think. But he didn't ask to be in that situation. And that really helped me while feeling that I got angry or, like, why now? Why is this happening? I don't have time for this. So it wasn't easy. It was awful.
I can imagine. I'm really thankful that you both took the time to kind of share. And I like how you said, Ashley, if you can help shift somebody's perspective, because, I feel like we talk about the 7 stages of grief, and I think that it can apply to more than just like actual loss, like death. It can apply to many different situations in our lives. So, with these diagnoses, you're going through those different stages: denial, bargaining, anger, all of the, different emotions and frequencies that come along with that. So I know that, we can just fluctuate through these spaces where, like you said, we're really angry. And so maybe it's at cancer, but we're reflecting it to our partner, and they're the ones that are in front of us that we could be mad and resentful towards. So sometimes that's just all we know how to do. So I love how you said, Ashley, like if we could shift the perspective that it's not the person, but we're mad at the situation, and like it sucks. We don't want to be in this, but like you said, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. Like, how are we going to move through this? So I really love that you like distinguish that yeah, you're resentful, but let's look at it.
And I like how you brought up the difference in grieving. I've lost, it'll be 10 years in September this year for me. I lost my dad suddenly. So I've had that great loss, like the physical, like just gone. But then with my husband, it's a whole different type of loss and grief that we've, and frankly, still working through. Because of the treatments, because of the surgeries, he is forever physically altered because of where the tumor was. And he's had to work through his own loss and grief. And then so do I, because of everything that you go through. And I know Meriam, sure, with her husband and brother can relate to this. It's just the future that you thought you were going to have is gone. So now we have a whole new future. But sometimes I mourn that future that I thought we were going to have. Because like I said earlier, I was like planning an engagement party, like where are we going to celebrate our, because everything with celebrations, we have to have a party or go somewhere with us. Like we just have, that's how we are. But, I'm planning like, where are we going to go to celebrate that we got engaged, and all that stuff went out the door completely. And this was our new normal. I'm planning a wedding from a chair in the hospital sitting next to my husband who's getting treatment for 8 hours. That was my normal. That was not supposed to be my normal, but this was my new normal. So, and I don't think people do a good job of stepping back and realizing that for themselves. Like, this is a loss too. And you can grieve it, and it's okay. It's not selfish. I've come to that realization. Dang it. I lost out on the future that I was supposed to have with Troy. I'm loving that he's here and that we have a future, but dang it, I'm still sad that we missed out on the future that we were supposed to have in my mind.
Such powerful words. I could just feel I have goosebumps over here. So I just want to tell you that because it's so true. Exactly what you're saying. You had this plan, and so you're mourning that. You're thankful. You're super thankful you have him. Like you guys have this new future you can plan, but there's still that piece of you. So I love that we're talking about this because too often we would shove that down or maybe shame that and be like, oh, I shouldn't bring that up. I should just be thankful that, he's here and we get to be together and we have this, piece that we have at all. And so we shove it away and we don't give acknowledgement to it because it's there. It needs to be acknowledged. So what I kind of love that you're doing. So Ashley, when you help people put these events together, I feel like besides just like planning the event, I feel like you're probably really able to kind of walk them through it emotionally too. Like you said, you're really excited, you're planning a wedding, and then you get this diagnosis. And it's probably like the wedding's like the last thing that you're like, I don't care whatever dress, like, I don't give a shit, like whatever, So I would love to know, like, do you kind of incorporate working with them on that aspect too, as you're actually planning an event, but you're working through that stuff that's coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's hard because I've been there, right? So, I've done a celebration of life, and where it was actually for my father-in-law. My mother-in-law asked me to just please just do this because I can't eat. I'm not in the headspace to even deal with it right now. I'm trying to grieve. I don't want to plan this ceremony, So I was just there to listen because that's what she needed at that time. And just being there to help them figure out the best thing for them and what that means for that particular, person and family, and being their sounding board when they can't find their own voice. That's the best way I can describe it.
I love that. From somebody who, like you said, you've been there. What are some of the events that you've done? You said you've done an end of life celebration. You've done your own wedding. What are some of the different events that people have asked you to put together?
Yeah, so it's mainly been weddings, and then celebration of life. And a lot of people will read my story and they'll reach out to me and they say, like, I read your story. I'm really excited about, your husband doing well. I'm not necessarily, ill, but can you like help me? I love your story. I love your platform. Can you do my wedding? And I'm like, well, of course. Like, I'm not going to turn people away, but it just adds that desire and burn to my business, my purpose filled business. Like, I'm doing something right. I've had people come to me that actually one of my brides coming up, their fiance's father's not doing well. So in reality, they wanted to wait another year, even possibly another 2 years, but they just don't foresee that being able to work. So, they're like, we need to do this now. It's just been so beautiful to hear the different stories that people, have come to me with, and just being there to talk them through. Sometimes I like to say I'm helping people kind of take their, a step back and just breathing, because sometimes that's all you need, especially we as women. Most of the time I'm dealing with the bride to be, and just like, hey, take a step back, breathe, because I know you're full-time working. You might have kids that you're taking care of. You got to go to the gym, drink all the water. Did you meditate and pray today? Like, all the things. We have to do all the things every day. So just this is what you called upon my services for. Let me take this part off of your plate. And I know I had one person ask, well, can you do this too? Like, since you're here, can you just take, I need you to do this as well. I'm like, well, that's not exactly the part of my services, but I see where you're coming from.
I love that. So,
So,
wait a minute.
Yeah. What else do you do? I can't babysit your kids, but but just, yeah, like I said, just being there as a sounding board. Sometimes I feel like maybe I should go get my license to practice therapy, being a therapist. I don't know. But yeah, all jokes aside, being there for them in that moment, that can be so happy, but yet you almost feel ashamed for being happy in your moment where you're also dealing with the eventual death of someone. So there's that double-edged sword. But I meet people, like I said, I meet people where they're at with that. So
I'm sorry. And, Ashley and Christy, there was a time when we were in a bad situation as well. So that's why I enjoy life to the max every single day. When I wake up, I pray and then I meditate 10 minutes. Then I take a shower, and while enjoying my breakfast, I journal for 3 to 5 minutes, whatever comes to my mind. That's how I start my day. Easy going. And I am with the journaling because I get to start the day with one positive thought every single day. And it really helps me. It calms me. And before I go to bed, I meditate for 10 minutes. And if I don't do this, when you forget to brush your teeth, that's how it feels. It's a habit. And this is one of my techniques I learned after I burned out.
I love that. I feel like that's similar to the same thing that I do. I start and I end my day with me. That's what I like to say. Like you say, just a quick little, like a meditation, a stretch. Like sometimes I'll stretch, like, maybe I'll read, whatever it is. I start and I end my day with me. So I love that. I think everybody should do that. Pour into you first and pour into you last.
Yeah, sometimes even breathing for 5 to 10 minutes, breathing exercise to help me just to calm anything. And Ashley and I always talk about it, that people ask us, oh, what is self-care for you? Yeah, self-care is doing something I love. Even if it's for listening to an audiobook for 15 minutes, doing breathing techniques, or Ashley has a favorite thing she does, her self-care driving moment. I love it.
Tell me because I love music.
yes, music. Oh my goodness. I will go into my car. It's usually like me trying to hide from the world. Go in my car, listen to whatever I want to. It can be anything from Tupac to Kirk Franklin to, I don't know, Britney Spears, whatever my mood is that day. And sometimes I drive, sometimes I just sit in my driveway. I've gotten so into my music. At one point, I ended up in a bakery like 40 minutes away from my house. And I said, well, since I'm here, might as well just go in and get some baked goods, double treat yourself. So, self-care can look different for everybody. My self-care is going to be different than Meriam's, than yours, Christy. You just got to find what works for you. It's not cookie cutter, like, oh my God, we're going to a spa day today. I mean, great if you can do that, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's the little pieces of joy that you find, like you said, Christy, you start your day and you end your day with you and whatever that looks like for you.
Absolutely. And I love that you bring up that like self-care can look different for everybody, because for so long I thought that it had to look like I have to meditate, I have to do this, I have to do that. And it's like I hate doing all these things. So I love that it's just what do you love to do, and giving yourself that. Today it was that I got to take a shower. That was my self-care today. I got to take a shower while the kids were like, nobody was awake yet. So sometimes that's all it is. So I'm really loving this message that, we've touched on uh, making sure that you get that self-care, you get that me time, making sure that you're asking for help. These are all the tips that Miriam's left us with. Making sure that if you are, I love that Ashley brought up, like she specifically does events. If you are doing an event, you call Ashley, but also, like she said, if she doesn't babysit, but you know what I mean? Like finding that, do you need somebody to babysit? Do you need somebody to help you with meals? Do you need somebody to come in and like help you just with like housework, laundry, like whatever it is, finding that person that can help you. And I love that many times both of you have brought up the point that like you've asked somebody, like you've asked a neighbor, you asked a friend, and they were just like, yes, we'll help you. So often too, I found this too, that you ask somebody for their help and they're more than willing to like jump. People want to help you. People are just almost waiting for you to ask to help. And we're just so scared to reach out and be a burden, or to look like we don't have it together, or all these things that we've touched on. So I can't even tell you how important it is, all the things that we've brought upon today, because being a caregiver um, is just can be a drain on you if you let it, you know what I mean? If you take that perspective, if you let it be that, and if you're not pouring into yourself, you're not caring for yourself, and you're not aware of these things, it can absolutely just, totally drain you. So I love that you guys are bringing awareness to this. I really would love to talk about Miriam. You mentioned, and hopefully it's okay to mention this, if not, we'll edit it out, but you mentioned that you're both writing books that I would love if you're ready to like talk about that, just to share a little more. Tell us when those are going to drop, and just tell us what they're going to be like, what they're going to be about, and who they're targeting, and how, that stuff.
It's so funny. And first of all, I never thought that I would write a book until last August 2020. I talked to a friend, and she lives in New York. And we tried to schedule a meet and greet Zoom meeting for months. And finally, the beginning of August, we were able to talk, just meet and greet. And she said, "Oh, okay, I am Sarah." I said, "Hey, I'm Miriam." And I said, "Okay, tell me a bit about you." And so she told me a bit about her. And finally she said, "Okay, but I would like to know who's Miriam." And I started talking about Miriam, and I shared my story. And I was so busy talking, so I didn't pay attention to my screen. And when I looked at my screen, I saw that she was in tears. And I apologized. I said, "Oh my gosh, it wasn't my intention to make you cry. I'm so sorry." And I said, "Maybe I should write a book." And she said, "Okay, this is exactly what I wanted to ask you. Why don't you write a book?" And I said, "Nah, me writing a book? You're kidding me. No way. No. Please think about it," she said. And 2 weeks later, on August 22nd, I started writing a book about my caregiver's journey and how I got out of the darkness, how I pulled myself out of the darkness. And the chapters of my book are, are the modules of my 6-week live online program. So I recently launched the 6-week online program, and the launch date of my book is June 10th of this year. So that's 10 more weeks. I'm so excited. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, my book will be published on June 10th. But I can't wait, because what I've experienced now, all the interviews Ashley and I are doing right now, we do see that our story touches many people, non-caregivers and caregivers. And it's so necessary that the world knows what caregivers go through. It's hard. But Ashley and I, we always say there's light at the end of the tunnel. But are you willing to go to that light? We can help you with maybe 60%, but the other 40% you have to do yourself. But we can help you with a lot of things to get over there. So I'm so excited about the book, Caregiver 2.0, From Burnout to Powerhouse.
I love that. Available June 10th. I just think that that's so cool. And you started at the 22nd of this last August. That's incredible, yeah. Meriam. That's incredible. I announced like a couple months ago, I'm going to write a book and I haven't wrote a single page yet. So I just have to say like, that's incredible.
You know, when I started writing, I blocked. That's something I learned after the burnout as well, to schedule. So I blocked 3 mornings, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was so committed because I know that this will help many people. And I started writing. I cried a lot. I laughed a lot. So this book really helped me deal with certain things. It was also therapy. I was a bit confused the first time I cried, and I reached out to my coach. I was saying, "Oh my God, I'm crying. What's happening to me?" She said, "Oh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. It's okay to cry." I said, "Thank you for reminding me that it's okay to show my emotions, to let it go." And 10 weeks from now, my book is published. I am so proud of my.
Yes. What a cool accomplishment. And the most exciting thing, and you pointed on this, is it's going to help so many people because, you know, like we said, we don't touch on all the pieces that go into this, all the emotions, all the pieces of the journey, the ups, the downs, all the things in between. So like you said, that's the important piece. It's going to help so many people. And then Ashley, you're releasing one like right on the tail of that, right?
Yeah, definitely. So my book is going to be just a combination of the love of my 2 favorite men, my dad and my husband. And it's going to cover everything from grief, loss, you know, because when you lose someone, you lose a piece of yourself too. So just finding your purpose in life and just finding it and walking it out. So my book is called Lost, Travel, Found, Turning Pain into Purpose. Because out of my pain, the phoenix rose and I found my purpose. And people are going to go on a trip. Like that travel part is not just like literal travel, but people are going to go on a trip on this book. Just the different waves of emotions, sadness, happiness, anger, all the things that come with being lost, losing someone, and then gaining your purpose in life. And I'm very excited. There's so many things that I wasn't able to share about my father and my husband, especially my husband, with my caregiver journey on the podcast. So definitely I'd encourage any listeners to get Meriam and I's books. We are like I told you earlier, Christy, we're the 2-for-1 special. So we are going to be launching like 1 week after another. So Meriam's launching June 10th. And I'll be launching June 18th, which is Father's Day weekend. So I'm taking my cap off to my daddy that weekend.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to read your book. I want a signed copy. Signed by...
Yep. There's a lot of emotions, like Meriam said, that go into writing a book. So, and your words are so important. Don't ever think for a minute that your story shouldn't be told. Everyone has a story, and it should be told, because you never know who it's going to help. Meriam and I have done enough work so far, and knowing that we are helping other caregivers. And I just think this book is going to take it even to the next level.
I couldn't agree with both of you more. I just see you two as like this dynamic duo that's coming in and just bringing awareness to how important this is as caregivers, because you're representing a voice that I feel like we don't hear from. We don't hear that, a caregiver from a caregiver's voice. We don't hear us advocating for caregivers and self-care. And like you said, a lot of time it's focused on the patient, because we're trying to get that person well, get that person the treatments they need, get that person just the essentials that they need. So we don't talk about the caregiver and their journey. So I can't even stress how many times I've said this on this podcast, how important this is. And I love that you said too, obviously there's so many pieces of your story that we could dive into, but I love that you said that, like, we check out the book so we could dive deeper into seeing that. So what I would love to know is where you could find each of you online, if somebody wanted to come and connect with you on social media or come and see what you guys are up to.
My website, you can find me via www.meriamboldewijn.com, and you can schedule a free 15-minute call with me, so I can see if we are a fit and if I can help you. Which I do have the pleasure and the privilege, because I pulled myself out of the darkness. So that's the website. I'm on Instagram, Meriam Boldewijn. I'm on Facebook, Hello Meriam. Clubhouse, Ashley and I run a chat room together with two other fellow caregivers. So we are on Clubhouse as well, Meriam Boldewijn, and Ashley is Timeless Dream, I think. LinkedIn, Meriam Boldewijn. So you can find me everywhere. On Twitter, Meriam Boldewijn. And the last thing I want to say is that it is time to own your well-being. If you're a caregiver or not, it is so important. We only live once. Fill your cup so you can serve others from your own overflow.
So good. So good. Ashley, where are we able to find you at?
Yes, definitely. And I love to go after Meriam with this. So once you have gone through Meriam's Caregiver 2.0 process and you are a brand new caregiver, you can come celebrate with me at Timeless Dream Events. And you can find me at www.timelessdreamevents.com. I also have a freebie on there. So if you need a 10-item list to treat yourself, it's on there. So sign up for that. And also anybody that signs up for that freebie will be entered into my email newsletter list, and you'll be able to get first dibs on the book as well. And more information that's coming down the pipeline with that. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Timeless Dream Events, YouTube, Timeless Dream Events. LinkedIn is under Ashley Jackson. And oh my goodness, Meriam mentioned Clubhouse at Timeless Dream. I mean, we are almost anywhere and everywhere. Pretty hard to miss us, but yeah, definitely. I do have a Facebook caregiver group as well, and it's called Caring for the Caregiver. Treat yourself. So all the Parks and Rec fans, you know what I mean. But yeah, you can definitely find us there. And I have started wanting to end my talks on podcasts with one of my dad's favorite quotes. And the one thing about my dad is that he always instilled in my brother and I to chase our dreams and never give up hope. And so his favorite quote was, "You can either have your butt prints in the couch or your footprints in the sand." Get up and chase your dreams.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to tell my kids that.
Yep. And I'm going to be making t-shirts with that on
That's awesome. Ooh, that's good. That is.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You know, Ashley has a wonderful self-care box.
Oh, see? Yes.
It's amazing. Self-care box is amazing. Yes. It's a must-have.
Yes. So, and because of our books coming out in June, for 4th of July, we'll have our books and a t-shirt in it. This go around. I do them about every 2 months. But yeah, so the next box will be featuring our books.
So cool. And so what's in there? Just like different self-care items that people can try.
Yeah, so it can range depending upon, sometimes I do like the seasons or holidays, but it can range from candle to lotion bars to soap bars, anything that like a journal. I did a journal and pen with the Love Languages book recently, because I think it's so important that you know how you should receive love so that you can give it too, right? So anything with self-love, it centers around that.
Oh, how cool. What a cool idea. I've not heard of something like that. I know. I'm so glad Meriam brought that up.
Yes.
She's like, by the way.
Yeah, we do all the things.
Right. I forget what we do. Sometimes I get like that too. I forgot I did that.
We do all the things.
I love it. So I just have to thank both of you, Meriam, Ashley, for being on today. It's been incredible getting to talk with both of you, getting to have just an open and candid conversation. I thank you for that too, because sometimes asking these questions and diving into the emotional part of this, or diving into really kind of talking about the nitty-gritty stuff, can be uncomfortable for people. So just thank you for allowing me to ask some of these harder questions, for talking about these harder topics, and just being open and honest and with a smile and with humor. And I can't thank you enough both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us and giving us the opportunity to share our stories. If we helped one person, we are happy. If we can help 10, it's even better.
Thank you for joining me today for the Self Project podcast. Come and connect with me over on Instagram @_Christy Martin, and let me know what your takeaways were and what you want to hear more of. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these awesome episodes. Leave a review if you love the show, and I will see you next time.